So when we talk about politics and we talk about the future of elections, one of the things that Trump campaigned on was election law reform with regard to mail-in ballots, voting machines, etc. We know how Taiwan conducts its elections. They do it by paper ballot and count it publicly. We all saw what happened in 2020, especially in places like Philadelphia and Fulton County, Georgia, where there's all kinds of shenanigans with that. It's not just cleaning up the elections, although that would be a huge bit of progress. The other thing is we got to remember the United States was not founded as a democracy, it was a republic, and you had to be qualified to vote. It used to be landowners were the people that were qualified to vote, merchants and people who didn't own, there were people in the trades didn't own land, they couldn't vote. So what we're talking about is qualifications. In order to have an opinion on politics, you need to be qualified to have an opinion. A lot of these people, they're not informed enough. They're low information people, and they're not qualified to have an opinion on what the government should or should not do. One of the reasons why we have such a problem with big government and tyranny and less freedom and everything else is because the politicians are able to, not only are they bowing down to special interests, but they can also appeal to the lowest common denominator, essentially. It's a race to the bottom with regard to the nation's intellect. So what we need to establish, and this is a long way off, I mean, we got to change the culture before we can get to this point, but we need to establish a set of qualifications in which people can vote. Property ownership, perhaps. Those who are currently serving in the military, maybe they get a say. Those who, maybe a certain intelligence threshold. Used to have literacy tests back in the day, and they were deemed as, and actually it was Jim Crow laws. I'm not advocating for racism. That's to institutionalize bigotry. What I'm advocating for is some kind of a test of qualifications, and then allow that to sort out who has a say and who doesn't have a say in how the government is run. And I guarantee you, just doing that, eliminate all the fraud and do that, and you have a relatively smaller pool of voters. The politics would be very, very, very different. You would actually have much more intelligent debate, and actually the so-called news media, and I put that in quotes, most of it isn't journalism, it's mostly opinion. They would have to appeal to smarter people. So you would have a much more intelligent discussion, and you would incentivize people also to act and think, to appreciate intelligence. See, now people are like, man, if I want to be able to vote, I have to be able to think too. And that would be great as well. So that's something to mull over, something to digest. I've made videos on this before. I've talked about this for a long time. I think it's straightforward. Like I said, the country's not a democracy. It's a republic. It's meant to be a limited government, and limiting who can vote is part of keeping it a limited government.